Hi folks, this is All the Fruit, and today I want to show you the agriculture of the most remote Tenerife village, Roque Bermejo. Well, we are starting up here, despite the fact that we'll have quite a way to walk to reach some noteworthy agriculture right now, but I want to start with the aerial view of the area. Because, yeah, this place is more or less frozen in time. They have no road. The next road is 3.5 kilometers and 450 meters elevation difference away from here. I don't think they will ever build a road here. So how do people survive here? Well, the same way they did for centuries. Until the mid-20th century, most of those little Canary Island villages didn't have roads, but they had teeny tiny ports. And sometimes really well developed ports. This is the easternmost village of Tenerife, but there are some houses at the Playa de Antequera which are about as far east as this place, and for those couple houses there is actually quite a substantial concrete port that someone built. Let's see for what reason. Well, here Roque Bermejo has the advantage that they actually have a natural harbor. Most houses you cannot see from here, but you can see the main agriculture. Well, what can we see? First, of course, that 90% or more of it, maybe 95%, is abandoned. But also that all the agriculture that remains now is down here on this little plateau. What is this little plateau? Well, the Canary Islands are volcanic. And yeah, all the volcanic rock is usually quite fertile. The Anaga Mountains are dozens of millions of years old. That means dozens of millions of years of rain washing away the fertility from those rocks. Well, a lot of big gorges where it's quite difficult to plant anything. A lot of places without proper soil. And so here people used the strategic location, the easternmost port of Tenerife, the easternmost place of Tenerife, a little port, this little accumulation of sediments here, and also the beautiful Barranco de Chamorga, the little valley which provides the most important thing for Canary Island agriculture: water. I always say on the Canary Islands you need water, soil and sun, but in the older times they did not care so much about the sun. Their main goal was not to produce the tastiest and sweetest mangoes, and so here we have enough sun. As you can see, the landscape is kind of semi-desert. Now it's January after heavy winter rain, so it's quite green, but most of the year it's quite deserted. So here we do have sun, we do have soil which accumulates down there, and we do have water which is collected here. Here you can see natural basins, here an old artificial basin, here a newer artificial basin, and the infamous black pipes which crisscross the countryside of the Canary Islands. Here I'm on a little outcrop, maybe 50 meters above the village, where there is kind of a nice house. I wouldn't call it a grand house or a mansion or a hacienda, but it might have been the biggest and most beautiful house in the village in previous centuries. Now it's abandoned, probably because the heirs couldn't agree who it belongs to, and also probably because it's a bit far away from the harbor down there. I'm not gonna explore it in detail, just look at some nice little details like this little trough here. Too small for horses or goats, but maybe they used it for chickens and ducks and geese and such animals. Aloe vera. Aloe is always good for your skin and for wounds. Well, let's see what else is in this house, since it's one of the few abandoned houses. Maybe we can still find some nice things inside. No, not much. Seems like some hikers have passed here some too sunny or too rainy hours, because there is a crude bench built here. Okay, let's start our descent to the agricultural land of the village. What do we see here? Well, the aloe vera, it's introduced. It's not native to the Canary Islands, but of course it's introduced, it's nice, it's beautiful, and it's a medicinal plant. Not to be confused with the spiny agave, quite dangerous, which was also introduced as an agricultural plant. It provides you with fiber, it provides you with sugar, which you can make into alcoholic drinks. It's also kind of a survival food, albeit a very dangerous one because of the oxalate content. Here you can see some abandoned terraces, however. Look at that, those terraces are quite geometrical. That means somebody with quite a lot of money has had them built. Here on the left, on the slope, there are a couple terraces which look like the things the farmers built for themselves, but this is someone with money brought somebody here to build those terraces. Probably around the 20th century, but could also have been earlier. Well, what would they have wanted here in this forsaken place? It's not God forsaken, they have a little chapel. So they have the most important things, the port, the chapel, some water and agriculture. But what would they want here in the middle of nowhere? Well, living in a remote place was not considered a bad thing back then. I bet they would have wished to be even more remote, because this nice little port meant that people from the government, like the tax collectors and the people from the army, would have had easy access to the village. Well, let's look around a bit. So those big terraces, somebody with money built them. Maybe the people from the house up there. What would they have grown here? Well, after the Spanish conquest, the first thing they grew here was the sugar cane. The sugar cane was introduced by the Arabs to the Spanish peninsula, but you could grow it only on the warmest coasts. There are still remnants of cultivation of sugarcane on the Costa Tropical. But when the Spanish conquered those islands, sugarcane was the first thing they planted here. And that's why they wanted good soil and good water. And this place would have been decent enough for some small conquistador to be made boss of this tiny place. I'm pretty sure that it was inhabited even before the Spanish, because, as I said, water and soil and access to the sea. So, what would they have grown here? Well, sugarcane. After the Spanish conquered enough Caribbean islands, they started cultivating it there instead of here, because the Caribbean islands are bigger, richer in water and much warmer. Then later they would cultivate wine, the famous Canary sack. I've seen wine presses at very remote places in the Anaga Mountains near the coast. So yeah, wine was being cultivated here, probably even on some of those slopes. Later they would cultivate cochineal cacti. Well, Opancha ficus indica, the well-known Opancha ficus indica, down there is a big remnant, big relic of this cultivation. And later maybe they would have done some commercial tomato and banana cultivation. And in between they would have cultivated mostly wheat and potatoes. So let's see what we can see from here. Let's go down a little bit further. We are already approaching the agricultural areas, the abandoned ones and the non-abandoned ones. Both are extremely interesting. Almost there. I'm too lazy to edit my videos, so you have to watch me climbing down here. Well, here we have a Canary Island date palm. The natives ate the dates, but for the Spanish they were considered worthless, and they would actually introduce steal the Arabian date palm or African date palm from Morocco and bring it here. But this is the Canary Island date palm. They would also steal people from Morocco, and those people taught the Spanish how to extract sap from date palms. And for the sap extraction, it wasn't important if the fruit are big or small, you extract it for the main bud. So those palm trees actually, despite requiring quite a lot of water, were preserved by the population of the Canary Islands for centuries, because you could make sugar and alcohol out of them with a lot less work than if you would grow sugar cane. photos down at the terraces. This thing, which looks like a cucumber, is actually a local brionia with quite big and watermelon-like looking fruit, but they're incredibly bitter. Then we got here a beautiful black mulberry shrub. Well, this is definitely not the original stem. Here you can see some old stems dying off. I guess this might have been a tree when it started out, but at some time it died due to drought or fire or whatever. And a lot of new shoots came up, but they have become quite nice and beautiful and big now. Not one of the oldest and biggest stems I've seen on the Canary Islands, but still impressive. A nice black mulberry, Morus nigra. Agaves can reach crazy sizes. Actually, I remember how I once confused them with electricity poles. Well, down here, if I'm not mistaken, between the giant tree is some sugar cane which has gone feral. Not 100% sure I can recognize the completely feral sugar cane, but I think it is some. A lot of dead fruit trees here on those terraces. I don't know which ones are fruit trees and which ones are maybe big spurges. Over there I think I see two old fig trees. By the way, the video and the weather now are quite gloomy. That's because we have Kalima once again. Yeah, this winter we've got a lot of Kalima. Unfortunately, it's called Kalima. What is Kalima? It's Sahara sand coming over from the desert. Not so good for the Canary Island agriculture. Well, here another classic of the Canary Islands. This one, well, the mulberry they introduced from Europe. The palm is native. And here we have the white zapote. They introduced this one from Mexico. Sure, this one is also not the original stem, but something that came up after the original stem died back. Here is this stuff which is probably feral sugar cane. Here the giant Spanish reed. They introduced this also from Spain. It's the bamboo of the Mediterranean, and I'm using it also, like for those walking sticks here. And they're using it here mostly as a windbreak, but of course also for everything you would use bamboo or timber for. Look how they built a fence out of it. They started out with the living plants and then weaved in a lot of giant reed and palm leaves into them. What have we got here? An avocado. Well, if you look at the avocado tree and also at the mulberry and the white zapote, you cannot see them here. You notice that the wind is quite strong. Everything that's considerably taller than the giant reed, which is not so giant here, gets a shape like this avocado. The lower avocado trees, look, they grow normally, but the taller ones, they cannot tolerate this. Here a fig tree. It's a little bit difficult. I'm carrying two heavy backpacks, two sticks, and I'm filming. In the background I see some guavas, peaches, citrus, and another fig, but I think this is a little bit far away. Here a little field of sweet potato. Let's see what else we have here. Here the irrigation system. This area has hundreds of those Withania aristata fruit. Withania aristata, the Canary Island sleepberry, is closely related to the Indian ashwagandha, and Indian ashwagandha is so important for Ayurvedic medicine that it's being called the Indian ginseng. And the crazy thing is the Canary Island people, they develop more or less the same uses for their species as the Indians had for their species independently. And I didn't see it in all the 3 kilometers of walk to here, but I'm seeing it everywhere here around those cultivated areas. So I guess it was probably not native to this place, but it was introduced and is a relic of cultivation. Over there I see a lot of, I think those are remnants of mango trees. So this could have been a mango plantation. Yeah, mango plantation would have brought them a lot of money in the late 20th century. That could explain the big walls they built. Who knows what they did here? I'm sure that this was done with a lot of money and professional workers. Well, here the next garden, again a fence of giant reed and palm leaves. The Canary Island banana. This is not a plantation for export, this is just for their own use. Behind them some lemon and, well, peach tree, but I think you will not be able to see a lot even if I zoom in. Here around the corner a mango tree. I guess this year they are preparing the lands to plant potatoes everywhere right now. January, February seems to be the time to plant potatoes around here. I wonder why they don't plant them throughout the year. They could be able to cultivate potatoes here throughout the year. Here we have Opuntia tomentosa and another species of Opuntia. I don't actually know why they introduced this. It's mostly found in the Anaga Mountains. It's quite rare in the rest of Tenerife. Well, not too rare, but much rarer than here. It has small fruit with a different taste. It grows more tree-like. This is actually one that fell down and produced this whole cluster. They can grow up to over 4 meters. I don't know why they introduced them here, what advantage they have over the Opuntia ficus indica. Maybe just a different taste. Here, a plot with small fava beans in the foreground, potatoes behind them. I don't know what's behind the potatoes. There are at least 2 other bunches of 2 other vegetables, but no idea. A couple corn plants and pumpkins in between. Well, beans, corns and pumpkins, this is a traditional Native American and American combination. But here they use the fava beans, which are not American, which are introduced from the old world. But still interesting how they modified this Native American polyculture. Lots of abandoned and semi-abandoned places. Whenever I see people work those terraces in Anaga, they are usually very old people, like still strong but old, and you can be quite sure that they are not going to work them for much longer. Here another of those sleep berries, another one. There must be hundreds here, and only here. They are not anywhere in the valley. More sleep berries, more figs. Not sure if those figs are alive. I mean, figs are deciduous, so it's possible that they are already dead. I wonder who's gonna watch the whole video. I mean, it's getting pretty long, and there is more stuff down there. And I'll continue it just for the few freaks who watch it till the end. Comment if you have watched it till now, till the 18th minute, because I think it's gonna be at least 10 more minutes. Here an abandoned field, the nice old fig trees, sleepberry everywhere in between, a mango, more sleepberry, more abandoned figs down there. Well, I know almost nobody appreciates those long videos about a village or a botanic garden, but if I wanted to capture the essence of such big places in a shorter video, I would have to do a lot of cutting, and since I've never have cut any videos in my life, I'm not gonna start with this one. Whew. So tiresome, those 2 backpacks and 2 sticks and the camera, but I want to camp down near the beach, so I have to carry everything: food, water, camping equipment, and so on and so on. Well, you see, not everybody is giving up their land. This is quite recent. This is from this century. They've even planted a small palm tree. What's over there? Those abandoned plots. A lot of sleepberry. Dead and dying figs. What a pity. More bananas. Olives. Olive culture is not too important on the island of Tenerife, but many people have it in their garden, many even without harvesting it. A rosemary and a Canary Island dragon tree, a very little one. Bougainvillea. Wow, slippery ground, mango trees, avocado trees. Kalima is getting denser. That also means that it's getting dark much earlier, and I'm already feeling it. Here's some calabash or pumpkins or summer squash or something. Here on the other side, this wild brionia with a lot of fruits which you might think are edible, but they're incredibly bitter. Here the sleepberry, the close ashwagandha relative. It's also related to the, well, it's in the Solanaceae, so it's also related to the Physalis. Here we have an African date palm. This was introduced for fruit, unlike the Canary Island one, but this one, I don't think it produced many fruit or was so much liked by the locals. Hola, ¿qué tal? Sí, sí. Oh, there are some people working here. Let's try not to film them. Here another white zapote, another sleepberry. Actually, I think those might not be locals, since they seem to have some Buddhist symbols on their house. Beautiful, but usually not a sign of local people. So let's see what else we can find here. Hola, ¿qué tal?
Bien, todo bien.
¿Todo bien?
Fantástico.
Adiós, hasta luego. So let's see what we have here. Well, lots and lots of abandoned places. Canary Island date palms. Yes, those are all Canary Island dates. I don't know, there is a group of something that could be fruit trees in the middle, but I think the Kalima is not allowing the camera to capture too much. Let's try and get at least to the next cluster of houses down there. Lots of abandoned stuff. That's normal pretty much everywhere in the Canary Islands, even in the areas with best agricultural land and water. Most of the agriculture is abandoned. You can simply get more money with tourism or other jobs and with less effort than if you do agriculture. Oh, we're already at 22 minutes. Let's see. Why am I doing such long videos? I don't know, but yeah, probably because I'm too lazy to cut them. Maybe I should start cutting them. More sleepberry. It's everywhere here. Nowhere to be found in all of the barranco, but everywhere here. Here we have something nice, a carob tree. The carob not only provided the measurement for weighting diamonds and other precious materials, the carrot, but also provided a lot of food for animals, a powder which you could make into a cocoa-like drink, and also famine food for people. Here, another oldish fig tree. Another water cistern. Nice that the Canary Island date palms are taking this over. I don't know if they have been planted. They are suspiciously accumulated around this little garden down there. Actually those here seem to be African date palms, even with quite decent dates. Oh my, I might check those out. This could also be a hybrid. It looks a little bit suspicious, but it's definitely, this one is definitely not a Canary Island date palm. This could also be one of those blue date palms. No, the shape of the dates is different. Well, definitely an old, not a modern, not a high quality date cultivar, but definitely not the native one. This is from Africa. So it's the next one here. But this one here, next to the trail, is definitely from the Canary Islands. This is the Phoenix canariensis, although after 600-700 years of colonization, who can tell if there is one single pure genetic Canary Island date palm on the islands? Who knows? I think there will be a lot of hybrids which look either like the Canary Island date palm or like a feral African date palm. Another Canary Island dragon tree. Down there, the little chapel. Well, I think I shall end the video here. It was nice to find the carob and the fruiting African date palms here. So folks, this was Roque Bermejo in a Sahara desert sandstorm, the most remote village on the island of Tenerife with its agriculture. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the beautiful island of Tenerife. If you've watched till here, check out my Canary Island playlist. And of course, folks, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.